You think tech billionaires are powerful? Wait till you hear about families who built their empires before the internet even existed, using land, sugar, and secrets that span centuries. Long before apps and algorithms, Philippine wealth was built on ancestral land, sugar, trade, and strategic marriages. These dynasties shaped the nation, survived revolutions, and quietly held centuries-deep power. 10. Lopez family. And here's where it gets even more fascinating. The story of the Lopez family. Their tale isn't just about money, it's about survival. In the 19th century, Iloilo's wealth stemmed from sugar plantations, sweet, literal power. But what made them legends was how two brothers, Fernando and Eugenio Lopez, turned that old world fortune into modern influence. Fernando went into politics, even serving as vice president, while Eugenio built empires in business and media. They founded ABS-CBN in 1957, the network that would dominate Philippine television for decades, and owned Meralco, the country's biggest electric company. But when Marcos declared martial law in 1972, everything collapsed. ABS-CBN was seized. Eugenio's son was imprisoned. The dynasty nearly disappeared. Then came the 1986 People Power Revolution, and the Lopezes rose again, reclaiming ABS-CBN and rebuilding their name from the ashes. Even when their franchise was shut down again in 2020, they refused to fold, pivoting to digital media and energy ventures through First Philippine Holdings Corporation. Their story is one of those rare ones that prove old money doesn't just fade, it adapts. Spectacular rise, crushing fall, resilient comeback. That's the Lopez legacy. 9. Cojuangco-Aquino family. But wait, it's about to get more political. The Cojuangco family, better known through the Aquino name, isn't just rich. They're practically woven into the DNA of Philippine history. It all began with Coyu Juanricho, later becoming Jose Cojuangco in 1861. His fortune came from vast sugar estates, most famously Hacienda Luisita, a property that became both a symbol of wealth and a flashpoint for controversy. From sugar to power, the Cojuangcos mastered both. Their influence exploded when Corazon Cory Aquino, married into the family, became president after the fall of Marcos in 1986, restoring democracy. Her son Benigno Noynoy Aquino III would later take the same seat decades later, proving the dynasty's iron grip on politics. On another branch of the family tree, Danding Cojuangco built his own empire through San Miguel Corporation, one of Southeast Asia's biggest conglomerates. Land, sugar, and politics, all tightly intertwined. That's the Cojuangco-Aquino legacy. Power that multiplies, not fades. 8. Aboitiz family. And here's where company genius takes center stage. With their strong Basque roots, the Aboitiz family began modestly in Cebu late in the 1800s. Their empire was constructed on boats rather than in boardrooms at that time. They learned the craft of transporting items and funds across the archipelago via inter-island trade, starting the Aboitiz and Company as their entry to business. They changed from that point. The family grew into shipping, power generation with Aboitiz Power, banking via Union Bank, and even infrastructure and food manufacturing. They collected all their assets under Aboitiz Equity Ventures, AEV, a strong powerhouse by the 1990s. Their actual talent is long-range planning. While others sought rapid gains, the Aboitiz clan built enduring foundations spanning several centuries. Their name today epitomizes industrial strength, invention, and continuity, a dynasty that powers the age rather than only surviving it. 7th Elizalde family. Now this part blew my mind. The Elizalde family might not always make headlines, but their fingerprints are all over the Philippine industry. With Basque roots like many old money clans, they built their fortune through bold acquisitions. In the 1930s, they took over Ynchausti y Compañía, once one of the most powerful trading firms in the country, and used it as the backbone for their own industrial empire. From shipping to sugar milling, rope making, distilleries, and even media, the Elizaldes diversified before diversification was even a buzzword. Their creation, the Manila Broadcasting Company, MBC, gave the Philippines some of its most popular radio stations: DZRH, Love Radio, and Easy Rock. Of course, their journey wasn't without shadows. They were tied to political controversies during the Marcos regime, including the infamous Takay hoax. But through it all, the Elizaldes endured, transforming from old world industrialists to modern media players, a family that inherited power and learned to reinvent it. 6th Ynchausti family. And here's where it all begins, the blueprint for almost every old money empire that followed. The Ynchausti family, a powerful Basque dynasty from the 19th century, ran a massive conglomerate that touched nearly every corner of Philippine commerce. They dominated shipping, sugar production, banking, insurance, and international trade, setting the stage for the industrial age long before the word conglomerate even existed. But what truly cemented their power were their marriage alliances. By marrying into the Ortigas and Zóbel de Ayala families, the Ynchaustis didn't just create wealth, they built networks that would shape the nation's economy for generations. By the 1930s, they sold off many of their businesses, with the Elizalde family taking over the core assets. Still, their fingerprints remained everywhere. The Ynchaustis became the Ghost Dynasty. Their name may have faded, but their legacy became the foundation for the fortunes of the Ortigas, Elizalde, and Zobel de Ayala families. 5. Ortigas family. Just when you think the story can't get richer, here comes the Ortigas family, masters of land and patience. Their wealth began with Hacienda de Mandaloyon, a 4,000-hectare estate acquired through marriage into the Ynchausti clan. But they didn't rush to cash in on their inheritance. They waited, planned, and developed at the perfect time. Decades later, that same land transformed into some of Metro Manila's most iconic districts. Green Hills, Valle Verde, and the commercial heart of Ortigas Center. Their secret weapon? Partnership. The Ortigas family didn't just rely on old money. They joined forces with new tycoons like Henry Sy and John Gokongwei, blending heritage with modern business power. Their story proves one thing: true wealth isn't about fast deals, it's about patience. By turning ancestral land into a modern empire, the Ortigas family built generational wealth that not only grew in value, but also reshaped the skyline of an entire nation. 4. Soriano family. Here's where corporate strength and legacy intersect. Turning a small brewery into one of Southeast Asia's greatest corporate empires was the Soriano family's achievement. Under strong leadership, they turned San Miguel Brewery from a local brew manufacturer into a powerhouse that crossed borders, thereby associating the family name with business excellence. But their astute marriages, alliances with the Zobel de Ayala and Roxas families combining money, power, and reputation made their ascent even more intriguing. Through Ayala y Compañía and subsequently Aurano Corporation, over time, they grew far beyond beer into food, airlines, real estate, and mining. The Sorianos never really plummeted, even after giving corporate conflicts to San Miguel away. They spread, changed, and kept their impact alive throughout sectors. Their narrative is a resilience masterclass. It shows that even if a kingdom falls away, the legacy of constructing one never vanishes. 3. Roxas family. Business meets politics here. The Roxas family, a clan that helped mold both the government and the economy of the Philippines. Founded in 1834, Casa Roxas developed into the basis of Ayala Corporation as it is today. Their roots are deep in Spanish colonial times. This family saw power in all its guises: money, marriage, and leadership. They created strategic alliances with the Ayala and Soriano families, thereby combining their ancestry with those of the most powerful dynasties of the nation. Still, the Roxas name had political force as well. After World War II, Manuel Roxas, the best-known member of the family, was the first president of the newly independent Philippines. Mar Roxas, generations hence, kept on the legacy as cabinet secretary, presidential candidate, and senator. Their influence in sugar trading through Roxas y Compañía ensured their economic power matched their political clout. For the Roxas family, business and politics weren't separate worlds. They were two sides of the same enduring dynasty. 2. Zobel de Ayala family. If you've ever walked through Makati City, you've literally walked through the legacy of the Zobel de Ayala family, the architects of modern Philippine capitalism. Their story began in 1834, when Casa Roxas partnered with Antonio de Ayala, a move that merged Spanish business acumen with Filipino ambition. The later Zobel marriage sealed the family's rise into one of Asia's most enduring dynasties. Their empire, Ayala Corporation, became the gold standard of multi-generational wealth, from Bank of the Philippine Islands, BPY, to Globe Telecom, Ayala Land, Manila Water, and even healthcare and education. They built industries that define daily life. But their crowning achievement? Makati City, the country's first fully planned business district, is a living monument to patient vision and disciplined growth. Now led by the 7th and 8th generations, the Zobel de Ayalas have mastered one principle: wealth that lasts isn't just built, it's managed. Patient capital, family unity, and long-term vision made them the architects of the Philippine economy. 1. Tuason family. And finally, we reach the family that rarely makes headlines but quietly owns much of the land. Those headlines are written on the Tuason family. Theirs is the story of ultimate discretion and old world wealth. It began in the 18th century when a Chinese immigrant named Sua earned the favor of King Charles III of Spain during the British occupation of Manila. For his loyalty, he was rewarded with vast tracts of land, territories that would one day become Hacienda de Marikina and Diliman, now part of Quezon City. Unlike others who built factories or companies, the Tuason's strategy was almost effortless. Hold the land and let time do the work. As the city expanded, they leased or sold parcels, turning ancestral estates into mines without lifting a finger. Their quiet power sits beneath the streets and buildings of godforsaken Metro Manila. The Tuason legacy is the purest form of old money. No noise, no spotlight, just centuries of compounded wealth built on patience, privilege, and prime land. From ABS-CBN to Makati's skyscrapers, these dynasties built the foundations of the Philippine economy and society. Their power endures through land, business, and politics. The question now, will the next generation uphold tradition or forge a new path? Their story is far from over, and the next chapter is just beginning. Like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into hidden dynasties and untold histories.